Hi, everybody. It's so delightful to see all of you. Thank you so much for being with me at such a moment of political turmoil, among other types of turmoil. And thank you, East Coast and Midwestern friends, for staying up extra late. It's so good to see all of you. I am going to read from Our Mother of Sorrows, and I just want to show you the cover that my beautiful friend Stacy Russo did. It is watercolor and collage, and the three orbs are meant to represent the three sisters in the book, and the central figure is the mother, of course. So I'm going to read from the book for a little bit, and then I'm going to read some poems that I wrote since coming to Wisconsin. So all of the poems in Our Mother of Sorrows were written in California, and some of the book is set in California. Some of it is set in Pittsburgh, where I'm from, like Phil mentioned. Our Mother of Sorrows is indeed a church in McKees Rocks, which is an Italian or formerly Italian neighborhood in Pittsburgh. And that's handy for some of the poems. The book is organized in 7 sections, and there are no titles. So I'm just going to dive right in with the first one. And I want to say also that this book is dedicated to my sisters, Annette and Lisa, who make some appearances in the book. So we'll start off with the Three Sisters section. It was her knees I loved, cheek against the rough ridge. I rubbed my face into them. She sat there smoking, picking her feet only sometimes, but I loved the rough little hairs, the tiniest spikes against my skin. I wanted to break a wedge of Parmesan against those knees. I sat on the carpet and breathed in smoke. There was always some man lying on the television screen. I remembered Oliver North, but I remembered his beautiful secretary more. She could not recall anything. The transcripts were always expletive deleted. Mommy, what's an expletive? I understood deleting, just another way to disappear. Daddy became a liar, but he wasn't on TV. It's been many years since I learned how the expletives fled. All those words like polished glass, begging to be read. Thank you. Thank you. These are really short, so I'm going to cram a lot of them in. We watched old movies, Pollyanna, Mary Poppins, Oh, the Absent Father. Ours appeared each day at 4 o'clock, home from the railroad, in no mood for high-pitched songs and chatter. He came upon our picnic underneath the table, rounds of pepperoni atop Ritz crackers, the chewy crunch of it, the salted fat smeared on our lips. He did not understand what had happened to dinner. We did not understand he had lost his job, that men had taken money. All he wanted was to sit at the dining room table with his pork chop, thinking of what to do. He wanted the quiet. She could only provide the chaos. 3 little girls who lived, each one quick after the other, after the first baby who died. And Dad had lost his job, and Mommy did not work except on Saturday nights for the JCPenney catalog. So Dad took us all in the rattling Ram Charger into town for ice cream cones. He threw sugar at us and wondered why we could not go to bed. Annette was the worst. Her body could not break it down, the sugar, so she dissolved. None of us would tell him this. We loved Saturday nights too much. Thank you. She smoked and never grew tired of it. Ashtrays overflowed and were emptied, but still she'd shake one loose from the pack. Always she bought them by the carton. They never lasted long. I didn't know addiction, the word or meaning, but I understood compulsion, the need to pick and pick until the nose bled, all behind the curtain, hidden from Mommy, but not from the world. And this next poem is from Color and Sound, the section Color and Sound. When the new job came, a blessing, Mommy said, who only worked Saturdays but stopped. It was the midnight shift and everyone needed to be quiet in the daytime. There were no more picnics under the table or over it. We learned to chew without smacking our lips, though there was no more pepperoni. Boiled Brussels sprouts that I hid in the stuffing of the dining room chairs. Sticky fingers from the slime, but they were quiet fingers. We did not want to wake him up. Lisa began to erase herself when she was so small. More hair, dark and curly, permanently tan skin, caramel. It was the wrong color. It was Mommy's color as a child, she told us. Lisa began and then she erased, redrafting again and again. She got into the car and told no one. The dog didn't bark and we missed her laughter in the silent summer. Hot and quiet and no drama, no giggles and squeaks. She could imitate any voice, but she could not obey. She got into the car without telling Mommy or us. The police came in the daylight, sirens announcing danger to the neighborhood. No one knew what she wore, what she looked like, where she was playing. I doubled over with guilt, eating my stomach like a living thing. My sister. It was my fault she had gone away. Thank you. Thanks. Do you want a lickin'? I didn't understand the word. My tiny self could almost see the letters before I knew them, before I could form the cutting words I would give to my mother in adolescence, broken bottles of sound. But what was a lickin'? I imagined it with an O, lickin', or something crabby and scabby, lickin'? It was not a soft word, but the smack was always muted by clothing, the dull thud. That time I had crumpled up all her cigarettes. Oh, the money, she screamed, the waste. But I could not tell her I was afraid when she became the dragon, smoke blowing through her nostrils. We did not go camping because her idea of roughing it was the Holiday Inn, so glib and dry, but she got her way, always. We did not go camping, so we never learned to forage for nuts and berries. We lie in the forest at the edge of the desert, choking on purple stones. She only laughs. Yeah, some of the poems are a little bit fantastical, I should say. This next section is called Ghosts. The dead baby did not haunt us in the usual ways. There were no white sheets in the darkness, no creaky floorboards. She told us at Christmas one year, showed us, hanging from the tree, an ornament, round, an angel inside, wings spread wide. To commemorate, remember the small bundle they buried one day in someone else's grave. No, he did not lurk in the shadows of the too small house. There was no room for him. He was still inside her, and we could not take his place. He had come first but left. We had not deserved him. He died to make room for the unworthy. God took him from our unkindness. It was a punishment to know this, that we were only girls who didn't deserve the son, the brother. This is from the same section. Thank you. Pappy was allergic to cucumbers, but she put them into salads anyway. Let him pick them out. Her father, who allowed another man to claim and beat her. He gave her away to the stepfather first, then to my father, passing her off. But he liked to brag that he took her over his knee at 21. Birthday parties in the spring, tomato and cucumber salads, Pappy spitting seeds, turning slowly red. A mother's love is precious, not because of its supposed abundance, but because it can turn you away from the heart. It can cast you into the wilderness, for a lifetime without preparation, supplies, a guide. A mother's love can dry up like a river in its parched bed of dirt and dead plants. We have such rivers in California, empty things, an occasional trickle. When you fall into disfavor, you are nothing. And this next one is from the Our Mother of Sorrows section. Can no one save her, the mother? Can nothing be done to bring her back to earth, to the wet dirt and flowering impatience of the past? The loving mother is a distant memory, deep. She must be so cold and lonely, no glass in the windows, nothing sharp to stop the wind and the rain, gray Pittsburgh from filling her with air and lifting her into the clouds. She will float away believing no one loved her. She disbelieves the facts, disbelieves in innocence. You have put her in this prison too. And this next poem from the same section makes reference to McKees Rocks, the neighborhood I mentioned earlier, the formerly Italian neighborhood in Pittsburgh. Dad often brought pizza on Friday afternoons before the 3 to 11 shift. It was a church basement from their old neighborhood down the rocks. Our Lady of Sorrows, the pizza for our Mother of Sorrows. She washed the dirt, the sweat from our little bodies each night. I helped her bathe my sister in the sink with the dishes. I kept the suds from her eyes, pulled out the forks and knives before they stabbed her chubby skin, so fresh and fragile. And this next poem is from the section Cracked Chair. You break the chair over my back each time we speak. I hear you pause, smoking, even though you quit. I hear the words whistle when you pick up the chair before the snap, the crack of your tongue as you destroy me. I grew up thinking Italians all broke chairs, but it was always only you. And this next poem, just a couple more from the book. This next poem is from the Lisa section. My father predicted the toe tag for Lisa, the permanence of ending. He had a way with his words that made you look away. He would say the unsayable and no one could stuff it back down his narrow throat, and he was usually wrong. She had only gotten into the car with Pappy, gone for ice cream, each the baby of the family. She had only swallowed the pills. She did it just for show so we'd know she was serious. It was inconvenient to visit her in the psychiatric hospital after work. The gaping maw of her need struck me in the face, silent. There was no way to feed her, but her toenails were painted pretty pink. And this last poem that I'm going to read from the book is from the section Mommy as Snake. My mother keeps a list of my sins against her, the ways in which I've wronged her, tucked beneath her bra strap with the money. She pays in cash while I sip bourbon from a juice glass with Christ emblazoned across it 3,000 miles away. Not from home, because home is where the heart is. Mine is with the bourbon and the ocean, California. My mother takes the list out to recite through the long distance, but sand comes out of her mouth. There's no blood left inside her. She is a worm in the sand, a destroyer. So those are, that's my take on family. Those are the poems that I'm going to read from the book. And I want to also read some poems that I've written since coming to Wisconsin. Just a few of them. And one thing about Madison, Wisconsin is that it is surrounded by lakes. The city is sort of on an isthmus between two lakes. And I happen to be able to look out and see partially one of the lakes from my window in my apartment. So this poem is called The Lake. The lake through windows in a city no one remembers. Some nights, a purple smudge above the water. Every day, this tightening of my chest, this holding of my breath, this hard clench. The sky lightens, almost brightens, then stops. The water throbs in gentle pain. I'm facing myself in the Midwest. I'm facing the lake. And I owe gratitude to both Phil and Marcia for their help with that poem. Next up is Quarantine Lake, because the pandemic. Quarantine Lake. The lake moves swiftly, water gliding forward and back. I walk around one edge of it, breathless. The city has come outside to stare at the dark water, darker than the sky. People mask their mouths, exercise the appearance of freedom, moving muscles fast, faster than I ever will. Thank you, thank you. This next one is called Tandem. There's still this loneliness, even riding on the tandem bicycle, the lake a blur of blue on the left. You are too afraid to focus your gaze on the geese in the patch of sunlight. You stare instead at the back of the man in front of you, the white, smooth scalp. How tired you are of being afraid. Afraid to ride a bicycle, afraid to fall to the ground and hurt yourself in some irrevocable way, afraid to be with and without another man. And the next few, thank you. The next few poems are from this series that was inspired by my adventures in dating. And the series is called The Auditioner. And I'm just gonna read the first few poems in the series. This one is The Auditioner. The auditioner has a kind face, but is not kind. The lake is dark between the dwindling leaves. It's early for such darkness yet, but you know this night will swallow you whole, digest you through the belly of a snake until the sun comes again once more. This next one, also from the series, is called The First Audition. He tells you, you have many fine qualities after one date. You sat next to each other only a handful of hours, but he has seen many fine qualities deep in your dark eyes, coming up and out of your pores like sweat. It's only the first audition. You consider the lake, the wind on your shoulders, one of the lake's many fine qualities. This is called Falling In. You slipped into the lake like a fish, but clumsy. The waves at the rocks were too much for your balance. He fell into you with such ease, his tongue squirming in your mouth. But he was no better than the lake, rough and unsteadying. Where is your equanimity with the rocks at the bottom? And this next one is the last in the series that I'm going to read. It's called Fall. No one will save you from the changing of the seasons. Summer turns over and the leaves yellow like old paper and fall. Some float in the wind before my box of windows. How many ways can he tell you he doesn't want to know you? Soon it will be bare branches and the frozen lake. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's more where that came from with The Auditioner. The next poem I'm going to read was inspired by a singing bowl massage, which is when you sort of lie down on a massage table and people place, or one person places singing bowls at various points on your body. It's very amazing with the vibrations. So this is called Singing Bowl Massage. She places the bowls on your body, the heart and belly. Deep breaths rise and fall. You are on the table, but also floating in the center of a lake. Vibrations at your core. The table begins to shake. She turns you over gently, positions your head lower than your body. Arms hang down and bowls sing on your shoulders where the tension hides. Bowls along your spine and the chiming of the gong, the singing song of vibration in your body. You feel it then, trying to crawl up your throat, out your mouth, a cough. Get the men out, it says. You want the calm of the lake as you walk along its edge. Get the men out, you say again. Get out, get out. Alone in your body, the water placid, only the slight vibration of the heart. And I'm going to end with this last poem called That Kind of Woman. You walk along the lake path to the co-op, even though it is longer. You are the kind of woman who buys organic lemons at the co-op. You are wearing a dress because you are the kind of woman who wears dresses in summer, legs bare to the breeze. So it should be no surprise when the woman approaches with her story, which might even be true, because you look like the kind of woman who gives her money away. She compliments your dress, and then you realize you are the kind of woman who gives her money away. You have been playing a part so long, you didn't realize you had become it. The blue of the lake is the blue of your dress. Thank you.